Ecuador's National Electoral Council informed that around 55% of the population has participated in the general elections. Israeli troops began their withdrawal from the Netzarin corridor in northern Gaza as part of the agreement between Tel Aviv and the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas. And in Chile, authorities uphold the state of emergency due to wildfires as some 2,500 hectares have burned down in the southern region. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Ecuador's National Electoral Council informed that around 55% of the population has participated in the general elections after the installation of 100% of the polling stations. According to the president of the National Electoral Council, CNE, Diana Atamaint, the election day is progressing smoothly with active participation from citizens, reflecting the commitment to transparency and integrity in the electoral process. Atamaint also highlighted that once the polls close, the presidential election votes will be counted first, followed by the votes for National Provincial Assembly members, and concluding with the votes for the Andean parliamentarians. Earlier in the day, the president of the National Electoral Council, Diana Atamaint, reaffirmed the electoral authorities' commitment with democracy and transparency.
Nacional Electoral empieza con una jornada exitosa.
The National Electoral Council begins with a successful day and reaffirms its commitment to democracy and transparency in these general elections 2025 with a public and equitable selection process. We guarantee that the voting results at the end of the day will faithfully reflect the popular will. After the closing of the polls, we will begin the count with order and security, prioritizing the presidential election and continuing with provincial assembly members, the National Assembly members, and will end with the Andean parliamentarians. Democracy is strengthened with each vote, and the CNE ensures that each one counts, and each one of them is absolutely respected.
Cada uno cuente y cada uno de ellos será absolutamente respetado.
In other informations, the security situation in Colombia's northern department of Chocó continues to deteriorate in the midst of clashes between the National Liberation Army (ELN) and the country's neo-paramilitary group and largest drug cartel, Clan del Golfo. The governor of the department, Nubia Córdoba Curi, warned that the fighting between the two groups has been going on for 4 consecutive days, with the main clashes taking place in the town of Puerto Murillo. The government official called on all warring groups to respect the norms of international humanitarian law and avoid affecting the civilian population. She also informed that a security council has been convened with all forces, including the army, police, and navy, to address the crisis. And now we have a short break coming up, but we'll be right back, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Let's go to Palestine. Israeli troops began on Sunday their withdrawal from the Netzarin corridor in northern Gaza as part of the agreement between Tel Aviv and the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas. According to Israel's public broadcaster, the withdrawal is expected to be completed by the end of the day, leaving the occupation army presence only in the Philadelphia axis and in the buffer zone between Gaza and its surroundings. The Netzarin corridor is considered a strategic zone as it divides Gaza between the north and the south. Israeli troops remain deployed on the border of Gaza with Israel and Egypt, pending the negotiation for a complete Israeli withdrawal from Palestine. 7 Palestinians released on Saturday by the Zionist regime had to be hospitalized due to the brutal treatments received by the Israeli prisons. The information was confirmed by the Palestinian Red Crescent, which said that the 7 prisoners had been admitted to hospitals in Ramallah. The head of the Palestinian Prisoners Club, Abdullah al-Sagari, also confirmed that the prisoners needed medical care, treatment and examination as a result of the brutality they were subjected to during the past months. The Israeli regime released a total of 183 Palestinians in exchange for 3 Israeli captives released by Hamas as part of the first prisoner exchange, in line with a ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip. Israeli occupation forces not only kept up with lying siege to the Palestinian population, but they are also advancing with ethnic cleansing in the occupied West Bank. The southern refugee camp of Al-Farah in Tuba City has been under siege for 8 days. In addition to the arrival of reinforcement, the occupation forces destroyed infrastructure, including the inhabitants' properties. Furthermore, the Israeli army arrested around 8 Palestinians after having hit their homes. Likewise, the Israeli regime expelled Saturday countless of family members from the camp. Afterwards, they found shelter in several schools. In the occupied West Bank, over 20,000 Palestinians had been displaced from northern Jenin city as a result of destruction led by the Israeli bombings. The governor of Jenin, Mansour al-Saadi, briefed that the occupation forces shattered to pieces the Jenin camp so that over 20,000 Palestinians were forced to leave behind their homes and personal belongings. Al-Saadi described the situation in Jenin as a collective punishment of the refugee, part of the ethnic cleansing. In addition, the deputy governor urged all international human rights and legal institutions to enter the camp and report the magnitude of the Israeli crimes against humanity. The United Nations assured that it is possible to rebuild about 70% of the Gaza Strip within a period of 5 to 10 years without displacing its population. The international body estimated that the cost of the reconstruction would be around $60 billion, and in that context, the Palestinian Central Council reaffirmed its commitment to Palestinian national unity at all levels and rejected the conspiracy aimed at destroying the Palestinian cause and its rights. The Council also rejected recent statements by U.S. President Donald Trump about forcing a displacement in the Gaza Strip and legalizing Israeli settlements in occupied Palestinian territory. Russian air defense shot down 35 Ukrainian drones in 8 regions in the southwest of the country. The Russian Ministry of Defense described as terrorist the failed attacks of the Kyiv regime. Moreover, the entity indicated that Russia continues with a special military operation in Ukraine aimed at protecting the population from the genocide by the Ukrainian government. Meanwhile, the Russian provinces bordered in Ukraine have been regularly denouncing impacts of projectiles, drone incursions, and various strikes that force the population to seek refuge in other areas. In the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un indicated that his government will support Moscow's right cause to defend its sovereignty from Kyiv and its allies. The Asian leader expressed serious concern at the reckless behavior of the United States and Western groups that are intentionally trying to foment the prolongation of the war based on the unrealistic illusion of inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia. He assured that his nation will invariably support the right cause of the Russian army and people to defend their sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. In North Korea commemorates the 77th anniversary of the founding of the Korean People's Army. The event was headed by the North Korean Labour Party's General Secretary Kim Jong-un, who paid tribute to the soldiers and the founding army during the an official visit to the nation's Ministry of Defense. Jong-un highlighted the merits of the military and praised its heroic traditions of defending the country. On February 8, 1948, Korean leader Kim Il-sung transformed the Korean People's Revolutionary Army into the Korean People's Army after the victory over the Japanese occupiers. The Korean leader led the new founded army to the success against the U.S. invaders in the so-called Korean War, which took place from 1950 to 1953. We have a second short break coming up, but we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Chilean authorities maintain the state of emergency decreed due to wildfires as some 2,500 hectares have burned down in the south of the nation. Local officials reported that around 15 fire outbreaks remain active, which have been nurtured by high temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. They further warned that forecast estimated extreme temperatures will reach record numbers from Sunday through Monday, being the most critical days. The state of emergency decree is in force in central and southern regions of the country, and the measure includes curfews to allow authorities to deal with the possible criminal acts. In this regard, the government assured that any person involved in setting the fires will be brought to justice and will be sentenced to 20 years in prison. Members of the PD Pincha Brazil project released around 4,900 yellow-spotted river baby turtles in the Agapo-Acu River, Amazonas state. The Rios Limoes Institutional Support Foundation, UNISOL, and the Federal University of Amazonas, UFAM, have been leading the project for 26 years with the partnership of Mineração Rio do Norte. Its main goal is to preserve population of chelonians by means of participatory management as local communities and institutions get involved. So far, the conservationist initiative has returned to nature over 5 million baby turtles of the Amazon, including 70,000 yellow-spotted river turtles who live in the Amazon River and in the Orinoco River in Venezuela.
This is part of a larger community-based management strategy, where the community, realizing that the resource is threatened, whether by human encroachment or illegal capture, decides to take action to protect it. There are different ways to do this. One way is to protect the beach, when possible, allowing the nests to remain there. The community then records the number of nests and then the number of hatchlings that emerge.
A comunidade faz o registro da quantidade de ninhos e depois da quantidade.
And let's go back now to Ecuador amid the general elections that are taking place in the country. And to go deep into all the details on this day, we contact our special envoy in Quito, Ecuador, Jorge Gestoso. Hi Jorge, what are the latest informations at this hour?
Thank you very much. We are about 9 minutes away for the closing of the polls. It's going to be at 5 p.m. The electoral day was taking place from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. according to the National Electoral Council. By 1 p.m., 30% of the electorate has already voted. Theoretically, according to previous elections, 80 to 83% of the people that are obviously ready to vote are going to do it. It's a tradition in Ecuador that people go to the polls after lunch, so there's going to be that expectation that that percentage is going to increase. Regarding to the electoral elections in overseas, we're talking about the Ecuadorians who live abroad. According to the National Electoral Council, 47 out of the 97 electoral places has been already closed. There are almost like 500,000 Ecuadorians living abroad that could be eligible to vote, but in reality, the calculation that it's about 51,000 is the one who really vote. There are about 600 observers between national observers and international observers. In terms of international observers, we're talking about over 500 to 600. There has been an incident in the morning where most of the candidates voted in the morning. The candidate has been, according to the polls, chosen like to be in the third place. We're talking about Leonidas Issa from the party Pachacutic, that is the amalgamated of the indigenous movement, has voted, and he, after that he made his vote, has given some declarations to the press, and he mentioned that his concern or his denunciation is that in this election the level is not, the field is not level, and it's not level in favor of the president/candidate Daniel Noboa, and that is absolutely going against democracy. When he was giving his speeches to the press, according to sources, there was some incident with a policeman or a soldier that they were trying to prohibit him to give his declarations because there were uncomfortable denunciations. That incident was a reflection of many discomfort in many candidates, that they're saying that most definitely the president candidate Daniel Noboa was taking advantage of the, if you want, elements of the government of the states in his favor. He was pushing for a candidate to be eliminated of the registration, and so on and so forth. By 5 o'clock, so again, in about 53 minutes, it's going to be closing the polls, and the National Council of Electoral Council Service, the CNE in Spanish, says that 60 minutes or 90 minutes later, mostly 90 minutes later, we're going to start to get results of this election today here in Ecuador. We get back to you now.
Thank you, Gestoso, for all the first-hand information. We will keep in contact throughout this key day. And with this report from our special envoy in Quito, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. For teleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.